All right, we're gonna get started. So come to sitting with your feet out in front of you, hands on the floor behind you, and just drop your knees a little bit side to side just to kind of wake up your hips a little. As you're dropping from side to side, you can spend a little more time where your knees are reaching away from each other. So instead of immediately dropping the leg in, try to reach your knee out away from the knee you're dropping towards. As you do that a couple times, see if you can get a little more opening through your inner thighs. And just twice more, a little rock side to side, and then come back to the center. Step your feet further out away from you and bring your hands onto the floor. You're gonna bring your fingers underneath you towards each other, round your upper back over your legs, and thread your hands underneath. You're trying to stretch your shoulder blades apart. Then come back up, turn your fingers to face away from you. Lift through the sternum. You'll need to bend your elbows to open the collarbone and extend through the spine. And do that a couple times, threading under, rounding. You're trying to move your shoulder blades. Keep that in mind so that you pay attention to that. You're not just collapsing over your legs, but you're bringing your hands under enough that your shoulder blades move away from the spine. And lift the sternum, open the collarbones on your own timing, a couple more. Lifting the sternum, opening the collarbones, and rounding and lifting. So if you can, keep your hands on the floor when your hands go underneath you. They're crossing over the midline. They're passing each other and the shoulder blades are opening up apart. I know it's hard to see that. Yeah. And last one, keep it moving. It's pretty chilly today, so we're going to keep moving the whole time. Reach your arms forward and round back, turn the palms up and turn the palms down or in towards each other. As you're doing this, think about that same feeling of like you're trying to move through your shoulder blades. So you're doing just your half roll back. You are changing the facing of the hands, but mostly I want you to pay attention to what's happening in the shoulder blades. So you're rounding back and your shoulder blades come towards each other. It's like you're hugging, yeah. And you're trying to not just lean back, but spin your pelvis underneath you, open across the front of the hip joints, deepen your abdominal connection. It should feel like abs are working as you come back up and over your legs. Two more, up and over the legs. Yes, exactly. And rounding back and up and over the legs. And this time you're gonna go all the way down to the floor. Reach the arms overhead, circle the arms around, come up over the legs. As you come over the legs, straighten your legs, flex your feet, and do a little pulse over the legs. Couple pulses, bend your legs as you start to roll down, articulate through the spine, circle the arms around, and roll up, reaching out over the legs, little pulses. Rolling back down. If you can't get up and down, then just do the half roll back. You don't have to go all the way down to the floor. Little pulses and coming back in, reaching overhead, circling around twice more on your own timing, stretching the spine open, getting the shoulders moving, getting the hip joints moving a little bit. On your next one, once you get all the way down to the floor, you're going to stay down on the floor. Connect your abdominals into your imprint and lift one leg to tabletop and then the other. Nod your chin, flex your upper body up and go into your hundreds, pumping the arms up and down. Focus on your lats. So you're going from shoulder height above shoulder height. So you're going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. If you want to extend the legs, feel free. Inhaling for 5 counts. Exhaling for 5 counts and inhaling. And slide your ribs to your hips more as you exhale. And 3 more sets here. Nice strong pump, trying to get the lats working, shoulders working. And 1 more set. If your legs are straight, bend the legs back in. Set your upper body down, set your feet down. Extend one leg out away from you, nice and long, and connect into the back of the leg. So you might flex the foot to help you activate the back of the leg. Lift the other leg up, keep the leg bent, and just stir your leg around in your hip socket, circling your leg around. As you're laying here, you're trying to not tip around side to side very much. Reverse the direction, circling around, trying to keep your pelvis more or less level the whole time. And one more time. And then keep that leg in tabletop in front of you. Reach your hands towards your knees. Nod your chin, flex your upper body up. And then you're gonna go into your single leg stretch from here. So one leg reaches out. If you can, flex the foot. You don't have to touch the floor. Go only as low as you can keep your abdominal connection. Reaching out through the back of the leg and reach through the leg. Imprint, try to slide your ribs to your hips so you're not looking at the ceiling, you're looking through your legs. That's better. Good. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower yourself all the way back down. That same leg that was circling, pull it into your chest. And now circle your leg around, trying to kind of massage towards the groin kind of side, the midline side of your hip joint. Circle around a couple times. Find a little stretch for the outer hip. And then bring that leg back up to tabletop. Once it's in tabletop, keep it there. You're gonna reach your hands to the outside of the knees again, and then leave your thigh where it is. So the thigh stays vertical. Straighten your leg as much as you can, and then bend it. If it doesn't straighten all the way, that's okay. Straighten as much as you possibly can, and bend it, and straighten as much as you can, and bend it. And then if you'd like to flex the upper body up, you can float the other leg off the floor or leave it on the floor. Thigh stays still, and you're trying to keep the leg where it is, and just move from the knee down. And 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep the leg straight. Move your hands towards your ankle, and then scissors. Pulse, pulse, switch, pulse, pulse. As you're doing the reach through the leg, or the pulsing of the legs, you're focusing on the leg that's reaching away from you more than the leg that's reaching towards you. It's okay if your leg doesn't stay perfectly straight, but you're keeping it as straight as possible. And pulse, pulse, and 1 more each side. And then bend both legs back into tabletop. Stir your legs around a second, and then stir them around the other way. And then whichever leg was straight before, now have the other leg straight. So flex the second leg. Leg in the air is tabletop, and just start stirring through the leg, keeping the leg in the air, bent, circling around and around and around. Reverse, stabilizing the pelvis. Both sides of the waist are the same length, and circling. And 1 more time. And take your hands towards your knee, nod your chin, flex your upper body up, and go into your single leg stretch. Flex the foot as it reaches out. Either keep both feet flexed or flex and point, whichever is easier for you to manage. And reaching out through the heel. And 4, 3, 2, and last one. Still same leg comes to tabletop. Pull that leg into your chest a second and find a little bit of a stretch through the outer hip, and like you're pulling your leg across the midline towards the kind of groin side of the hip joint. And then bring your leg back to tabletop. Take your hands to your knee, leave your thigh still, and straighten your leg as much as you can. Bend your leg. Your thigh stays where it is, and straighten it just as much as it's reasonable. And straighten. And then if you'd like, you can flex your upper body up. The leg that's elongated can either lift or stay on the floor. And you're just straightening and bending and straighten and bend and straighten. One more. And then straighten the leg, take your hands towards your ankles and scissors, pulsing the leg. With the pulse, you're reaching further, and reaching further, reaching further. The arms aren't yanking on the leg, you're just guiding the legs. It's giving you a little bit of help to reach towards the legs to help you stay flexed up. Look down at your abdomen, make sure you're still flattening through the abs. Your eyes are looking forward through your legs, not up at the ceiling. One more each side. And last one. And then bend the legs into tabletop. Set your head down, stir your legs around one way, stir them around the other way. And then let's set the feet down, nothing under your head. Lifting your hips up, shoulder bridge, pressing your hips up, opening across the front of the hips, and then crease at the front of the hips to lower back down. Just do that a couple times, pressing your hips up and flexing at the hip joint to lower down. So you're trying to stay neutral. The distance between your ribs and your hips will stay the same the whole time. Once you press your hips up on the next one, stay there, float one foot off the ground without anything changing, set it down and alternate between feet. Lift your leg really low, so keep it almost touching the ground. It's harder that way. You should feel like your glutes are working. You feel some shifting of your weight into your arms. So if you wanted it to be a lot harder, you could reach your arms up to the ceiling, which would make it more obvious if your pelvis was tipping. As you continue alternating between feet, just do one more each side. And then flex at the hip joints, lower back down. One more time, press the hips up if you want, arms up, and float your foot off the floor, set it down. Trying to keep everything in line, not letting things tip side to side. Awesome. Keep using your inner thighs. One more each side. And last one. And then set the hips back down. Sneak your feet out further away from you. Reach your arms overhead and go into a roll up again. So roll up through your spine to just back of the sits bones. You can grab a hold of the back of the knees. And we're going to go into a modified rolling like a ball. So you can keep your legs either together or apart. The tighter the ball shape, the harder it is to roll. So you decide based on your curvature through your spine. So you can roll back if you want to kick the legs a little, you can. That makes it easier to control the roll. You're looking at your pubic bone the whole time. You're trying to not let your head touch the floor. So you stay in that ball shape. If you don't need to kick the legs, then don't. Inhale back, exhale up. Strong exhale is going to help bring you back up. Should feel like your abdominals are working. It's not just a momentum thing. Two more. And then once you're all the way back up, sneak your feet out away from you again, sitting up. And reach your arms forward. And then press your arms out to the side, only as far to the side as you can stay connected to the back of the shoulder, which is usually not 180 degrees. It's less than that. And then rotate your upper body to one side, 3 pulses, 2, 3, and inhale back to the center. And then rotate the other way, pulse, 2, 3, and inhale center. As you continue, trying to feel like your abdominals are working to rotate you. This can be as easy or as hard as you make it. If you're just kind of sitting there and turning your arms, it's not going to feel like much. You're reaching, you're trying to widen between the shoulder blades. You're trying to use your abdominals to sit up tall. On your next one, as you rotate, bend the elbow in the direction you're going in. It's that kind of bow and arrow pull feeling that you're creating an opposition between elbow and fingertips. And 2 more. And reach and pulse, 2, 3, and center and rotate, pulse, 2, 3, and come back to the center. Keeping the arms really reaching out wide. See if you can feel like you're lifting your chest up, and then take your fingertips back behind you and see how you can keep the width across the front of the collarbones like we were doing earlier. So lifting the sternum, lifting the chest, bend your elbows as much as you need to get your heart to open up to the ceiling, and then take your arms back out to the side. Do that a couple times. Press your arms back, open the collarbone, lift the sternum, lift the chest, reach the arms out to the side. And 2 more. Arms come back behind you, open your collarbone, open your chest. Feel the muscles of the back of the shoulder blades working. 1 more. Hands come behind you, press the chest open and lengthen back down. Reach your arms forward and roll back down through your spine until you're laying on your back, and then you're gonna roll over onto your stomach. So the muscles we were just working on is what we're always trying to work on when we're laying on our stomach as well. So we're gonna go into breaststroke. So legs parallel, no wider than sits bones distance apart. Legs are really active, your glutes are working. Float your arms off the floor in that W position with your nose hovering. Stay in that same hover as you reach your arms overhead. Then lift up higher as you circle your arms around and spin your thumbs up towards the ceiling. Diving down, super person, circling around and lift. And dive down, open the collarbone, open the chest like we just did sitting, and reaching forward. The gravity is working down on you, so it's harder to open the shoulders here. You have to work a little bit more. Try to feel like the back of the shoulder blades are working to open the chest. Dive forward, circle around, lift the chest. Dive forward, circle around, lift. And 3 more. And 2. And last one. And lower your hands down, lower your head down. Separate your legs and bring your hands underneath your forehead so your nose is comfortable. And reach out through the legs so much that one or both legs float off the floor. If you're doing both, you have to make sure you're not letting your pelvis tip or your lower back sink. So your belly button is lifting away from the floor. The pubic bone stays down. You reach out through the legs and lower the legs back down. As you do this a couple times, you're trying to connect to your glutes. So like the sits bones are coming towards each other behind you. Doesn't have to look like much to feel like a lot. So keep the knees really straight. Use your butt muscles. Use your hamstrings. Pull back on your quads to keep the knees straight. Ginge, try not to let your knees bend. Reach out through the legs. Think of lifting the front of your thigh away from the floor instead of the feet. Lift the front of your thigh away from the floor. And 1 more time, hold the legs up. And then one leg is going to float a little higher than the other, and they're going to switch. Switch, 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 switch. And then lowering back down. Reach your arms overhead. Add your upper body to this. So connecting through the glutes. We've been working on the legs because I think the legs are the easiest part to cheat on. That you rotate them to parallel and then bend the knees, and it's easy to lift really high. I want that same quality as you reach out through the arms and legs, float all your limbs off the floor, and then opposite arm and leg, and you're swimming. You can go fast, you can go slow, whatever pace helps you feel the opposition of opposite arm to leg and the connection of one hand to the opposite foot. Kind of that narrow X shape behind you, and then reach out long and lower back down. Do that again, floating into length, connecting through the shoulder, sending the heart forward a little bit. Swimming, swimming, swimming. And 4, 3, 2, and 1, lower back down. Push yourself back onto your hands and knees. And once you're on your hands and knees, just come into a cat stretch, rounding your lower back up to the ceiling, stretching the low spine open. You can wiggle around a little there if that feels good to you. And then lengthening back out. Bring your feet and your knees all the way together. And find your weight centered between right and left. You're going to bring one arm forward, staying as centered as possible, keeping that there. And then hold your arm up, reaching through the floor. So you're pushing the floor away the whole time with that standing arm. Add the opposite leg reaching out. So you're really elongated, you're balanced, and then you're just gonna tap the arm and leg down, lift back up, and tap down and lift up. As you lift, try to connect into your shoulders so you're not lifting the whole shoulder joint. You're connected down into the shoulder blade to lift the arm. One more, lift the arm and leg, hold it there. Take the arm and leg to the opposite sides. The foot can touch the floor to the side. The arm goes same height to the side, and then bring the arm and leg back in line with the body. To the side and back behind, and to the side and return, and side and return, and 4, 3, 2, and last one. And bring your arm and leg back down. Reach the other arm out away from you. Float the arm off the ground, connect into your shoulders so your shoulders are level. When you're ready, add the opposite leg reaching, and then lower and lift. Straighten that knee behind you. Lower and lift. Knees straight. I see a lot of bent knees. Pull back on your quads. Don't think of height, think of length. That's better. Lower and lift and lower. Good. One more time, hold the arm and leg up. Arm and leg are gonna go to the side. The foot can get close to the floor. The arm stays about the same height. Side and overhead, and side and in line with the body. Four, 3, 2, and last one. And then sitting your hands back down. Sit back towards your heels, take a little stretch back, and just rounding through your spine.